I'm excited spreadsheeting. Hello and welcome to my channel, Haylee Marie Vintage. Today I'm going to do a retrospect on all of my projects for the year. Since this is my last video of the year, I thought this would be interesting or fun. Honestly, it's probably more self-indulgent than anything else, but hopefully you'll enjoy and stick around. So what I'm going to talk about first is statistics. Since I've been taking how many hours I've been sewing and stuff like that, I have yearly totals and like average labor or cost per project and just things like that. And then I will also be in this order going through my 3 least favorite makes, my 3 most worn makes, and then my 3 favorite makes. I did favorite versus most worn because a lot of my favorite makes are not like everyday things. I do have also then a lot of things that I get a lot of everyday make wear out of it. So that is kind of the structure of this video. It'll just kind of be me reminiscing about my favorite projects and I guess not so favorite projects. So we're gonna go ahead and dive in. So first, I of course have a spreadsheet because we're talking numbers. So I did not start calculating my like hours of labor or costs until May. So I'm first gonna give you partial totals and then average and then like my estimated totals based on those averages. So concretely, I spent between May and December 278 hours and 45 minutes sewing, and I spent $2,698.61. Honestly, I thought this total would be much more frightening. I'm pretty okay with that given this is my main hobby and what I spend most of my money on besides travel. So I'm more than happy with that. That brought my average cost to $122.66 per project. I think that's pretty good. I've been trying to up the quality of fabrics I'm using because I noticed it makes a big difference in me wearing versus not wearing projects. And then the average labor per project is 12 hours and 40 minutes. That's a long time per project. Explains why I can only do so many. And all of these are based on, like I said, May through December. So if I take those averages and then I multiply them by 10, which is the number of projects I didn't do when I was using this labor and cost calculating system, we then get to a total of, I spent 405 hours and 30 minutes sewing last year. I know it's more than that because I also sew things off camera. So that's actually pretty wild and explains why I feel like my skills grew so much in the last year. And then I spent $3,925.25 on all the supplies I used on my channel. That sounds probably about right to me. Like I said, this is my main hobby. I'm okay with that amount of money. I will also say like my stash has grown in the last year. One of my goals next year is that I sew more fabric than I buy. So I'm going to be keeping a strict spreadsheet on that starting next year. Until December 31st, I can do whatever I want. Those are kind of my stats. And yeah, I really feel like this explained why this year I feel like I grew so much as a seamstress. So now let's talk about my 3 least favorite projects. I'm probably going to put them in a little box here, either a photo or a video or whatever. So one of my first least favorite is unfortunately the bunny top I made at the beginning of the year. It was a 1940s pattern with some 1970s fabric. I just think I chose the wrong fabric with the pattern. I don't think the like thickness of the polyester worked well with that 1940s pattern. So I ultimately decluttered it and it's just a bummer because it was such a cool and unique fabric. And I kind of feel like because of my poor pattern choice for it, it just kind of didn't turn out the way I want. I also feel like I was still getting like quality figured out in my sewing. Like I think now I finished most of my seams. I don't think the seams for that were finished. I think it was also a knit and it maybe wasn't the best application of a knit. Overall, I just think it was kind of a meh. Blouses are not my favorite projects unless they're like my favorite project, if that makes sense. Like I wear a lot of the blouses I make and I really like them, but I have to be kind of like particular and careful about when I make my blouses, and I think that one I just didn't think through enough. Next up was the 1940s like scalloped V dress. This is fabric that I had very early on in my stash and that I wanted to use because I had had it so long. I think I should have just let it go. Honestly, the quality of the fabric didn't feel good. Like it didn't feel good against my body. I didn't really like it from that point of view. I love the idea of scallops in general, but I just feel like they aren't me. I've made quite a few things with scallops and it's pretty rare that I feel like they're my style at the end. So I think ultimately I just maybe should be more careful or thoughtful about the way I use scallops and making sure I'm using them in a way that I think will be long-lived in my wardrobe as opposed to like something stopping in quickly in my wardrobe, if that makes sense. I think it turned out really cute. I think it looks really good on me. It isn't me. sometimes like that just happens, and it doesn't happen as often. Like I feel like I've gotten better about making things that I really love, but it does happen. And then the last one was the dress I made for my Hocus Pocus costume. Overall, I kind of felt like my Hocus Pocus costume was a little underwhelming for me. I think honestly one of the reasons is I kind of did it to like hop on a trend, and I think ultimately I'm just not somebody who hops on a trend, and that's not really my vibe. And almost like anytime I regret making something, it's because I hopped on a trend and I wasn't like necessarily staying as true to like what I want to do. So this year, one of my goals for my channel is to just do what I want to do when I want to do it and not get like super caught up in theme days. I also think because that was part of my 6 weeks of spooking sewing, which I have talked about how much that burned me out on sewing. So I don't know if there's like just some residual feelings about that dress. And also just the fabric was a poor choice. The glittery tulle like sucks against my body, and I constructed one of the sleeves really incorrectly, and that's all I can see when I look at it. However, I will say I do really like the star like cover thing I made. I do really like that. So like with the disclaimer of I love that piece of it, I think that piece turned out really well. I guess I'm kind of just talking about the purple dress, which if you had seen how the purple dress fit without that thing over it, you would be horrified and you would totally understand my feelings towards that dress. The next is the 3 most worn. Because these are my most worn pieces, I have them here. I can kind of talk about them. I would also just say like I'm proud of these pieces. First up is this gorgeous floral coat I made. As I talk about these ones, since I feel excited about these, I will link them in the eye in case you want to watch the whole making video. This was my first ever coat. Ooh. Oh no, I probably just got lipstick on it, rip. It's a raincoat. I wear this a lot in the spring. In the fall, I kind of retire it for, I have a more fall-y raincoat, but I really adore this. I think it's so beautiful. It's fully lined. Like, I just think I did an excellent job on it. I love the daisy buttons. I love the yellow top stitching. Like, I just feel like it's constructed really beautifully, and I really do like it. I have a coat planned early next year using one of Charm Patterns by like Gertie, and I'm excited about that. I like this piece. I like when I wear this piece feels very me, and like I've always kind of struggled with outerwear because it's like there's a level of practicality you need with it, but then it feels less like me, and this one I get both the practicality and feeling like me in it. I'm just proud of it because I don't know, I love it and I wear it a ton, and yeah, it makes me feel like me. It makes me feel happy. Despite it being like such a statement coat, I feel like nobody like comments on it too much, which I know sounds weird. I know that given how I look, you would maybe guess I like a lot of attention, but I wish nobody would ever perceive me. And so I also appreciate that this jacket makes me feel a lot like me, but I don't get like 6,000 compliments and people don't try to talk to me about it all day long. So that makes it another one of my like favorites for my like most worn. Next for my most worn is this guy here. This is the dress I made for Pride this year. Oh, that's the back. It's a wrap dress. I used this trim with it that I think turned out perfectly. It's like a little cupcake. I really like this dress because it's been there for me through all of my weight changes this year. Because it's a wrap dress, I can easily move the hook and eyes, and then it fits me again, and so it's kind of been like a steadfast dress through that. It's really comfortable. The fabric's really soft. The colors make me happy, and I did make it for Pride. Honestly, if I am like really transparent and vulnerable with you guys this year, my Pride video was the most disappointing thing I put out all year. I lost subscribers, which this was back when I was under 2,000, so it was a pretty big deal. Honestly, it just sucks that people don't want to follow me because of something about myself I can't help. I love being gay. I am proud of my queerness. I wouldn't have it any other way. However, it does suck that people as a result don't want me. I've faced discrimination almost my whole life because of it, so like it's nothing new. It's just honestly my Pride video is just like really a tangible feeling of how unaccepted my queerness is in the sewing and vintage community, as well as just like out in life. This dress does bring those feelings, but I love this dress. I don't harbor any of the ill will towards this dress. I think I really harbor it towards the community for not accepting people different than them. I love this dress. It makes me feel like me. It makes me feel beautiful. I do really like, I was wearing this when a repairman came one day and he asked me if I was Danish. And I didn't know rainbow plaids were the fabric of the Danes. I don't think they are, but I thought it was very funny and I appreciated it. It really made me laugh because Danish, I don't know, or Finnish, I can't remember. It was a Scandinavian culture of some sort that he assumed I was because of this dress, and I find that really funny. But anyway, we're gonna move on to the next one. Oh, I also finished the seams really well in this one, and so it washes really well, and I'm really proud of that. Next up should be no surprise. I made these towards the end of the year. This is my pair of overalls I made. I wear these like once a week. I wear them all the time. I have plans for 2 more pairs of overalls like this. One you'll see me sew on this channel because it's going to be a lot of altering of this pattern here. I have plans. I have real big plans for this pattern. And then the other you won't see me make. You'll see in a fabric haul later what I'm going to make them out of, but they'll be like this. I really like the wide legs. These make me feel like really tall and beautiful, and I know overalls are not like the sexiest things ever, but they make me feel sexy. I feel like this one was kind of really what sparked my joy for sewing again after 6 weeks of spooky sewing burnt me out. Like, I feel like this is the one I made and I'm like, wow, I feel so good. I'm so glad I know how to sew. And actually, I do want to note, this was my fastest make at 5 hours and 45 minutes. So that's also pretty neat that one of my most worn things is one of my quickest makes. But yeah, I absolutely adore these. And I also think it's really cool that these are made out of $4 thrifted fabric. So that's really neat. I don't always have thrifted fabric last that long for me because I'm so particular about feel, but in this case, it worked out. Okay, now I have to get up to grab my 3 favorites. Again, the distinctions between my 3 that I just showed you that are also favorites are those are my most worn daily favorites. And then these are going to just be my 3 overall favorites that I would say like I just don't wear as often. First up, oh my goodness, is my unicorn gunny sacks dress. So I have made a lot of gunny sacks this year. I actually really adore them all. I wear them all a lot in my rotation. I don't know why this one hasn't been as solidly in my rotation. I think it's probably because I finished it up in the fall and it's kind of more of like a spring summer dress. So I think it'll get more use spring and summer. This is like the first gunny sacks I made that I'm really proud of and I think is really cool. I designed this fabric. It has little unicorns inspired by a unicorn gunny sacks I had. I also think like this was also a place in my sewing where I realized I could recreate things that I love that maybe just don't work for me because of fit. And so this definitely was like that for me as well. Do I have ties? Yes, I do have ties. Yeah, I also feel like I learned a lot while making this dress with the trim and all that. And yeah, I absolutely adore it. I have worn it over the winter layered with like a turtleneck or I have this very, very puffy 80s lace blouse that I wear it with. And then I wear my hair up like I live in a prairie. It's a vibe. I love it. I just truly adore this project. I don't know, this one just has a special place in my heart. I do, like I said, really love all the other gunny sacks I made. I started with that first one, which was the green one I made in the spring, and I actually really adore that one as well. I wear that one a lot too. And then I have what I call my Thanksgiving gunny sacks, which was one of my fall gunny sackses. I wore that to Thanksgiving. It's really comfy. It's one of my favorite. I am making it for sure in some other different prints because I really, really, really like that one. And then I have my spooky gunny sacks that I wrapped up that I love. I wear that one repeatedly a lot. And the last one I made is my winter like snow gunny sacks. I need to, like I said, I need to probably just take the sleeves off of that one. And then I think it will be good to go in my wardrobe as a staple. I'll have to kind of figure out how I'm gonna mix that one up. I actually think next year I will make less gunny sacks, just because I feel like I got a lot of my gunny sacks in my head ideas out in the past year. Don't get me wrong, there will still be gunny sacks. I think it's overall just gonna be hard to top this gunny sacks. It just really is truly one of my favorite and I am so proud of it. And wearing it just gives me a lot of joy. So first is, if you recognize this one, it does not look nearly as good just sitting here, so it will have the picture. This is my Baja Blast dress. I'm really proud of this dress. This was my first time I feel like really venturing out of my comfort zone for a while because I was using fabrics I was nervous about because this is chiffon that was very hard to work with, and then underneath it is a silk charmeuse that was not that fun to work with. So I just learned a lot. I feel really, 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 really beautiful in this dress as well. And this dress just like really tickles my fancy. And then I had a lot of fun filming the reveal and being ridiculous at Taco Bell. I loved meeting, oh my gosh, I forget her name, and her dog, which was also like it just felt like the universe fell together when I made this dress. Interesting consequence of this dress is I made the little hat and the little purse that went with it too. And I posted the little purse and it went kind of viral on TikTok. I'm not meant for virality. It's really overwhelming. It was not for me. While it was like really interesting, it was also like kind of one of the most terrible weeks this year that I had because I don't Again, despite being a YouTuber, I am not great at interneting. I am not great at like dealing with a lot of feedback at once, even though like most things roll off my back. And I think one of the most interesting things about this dress and that video with the cup is how much I got attacked by environmentalists. This is just where I'll say, if as environmentalists we would all attack companies as much as we attack each other, we could change the entire world. So please channel your energy at companies, write them a letter. After you write a certain number of letters about an issue to a board, they might actually have to address it, and that's pretty cool and way more change than commenting hatefully on a random person's post. I don't know, I feel like this video is really bringing out a lot of feelings. But I mean, when you're talking about your least favorite, most favorite makes of the year, as a creative, I guess that kind of makes sense. And then last, this is my very favorite make ever of all time. I'm hoping I'll beat it next year, but I do really adore this dress. This is my Matoshi like knockoff dress make. I'm so proud of this dress. I wouldn't have even believed a couple of years ago this would be in my skill level. This dress, sorry, I'm excited spreadsheeting. This dress took me 33 hours, which was the highest amount. 33 hours and 15 minutes to be slightly more precise to make, which was the top most time I spent, and it's because of all the hand embroidery, not hand embroidery, but hand appliquing I did, which I still think was 1,000 and a gajillion times worth it. So the reason I look like this right now is I'm going to Moulin Rouge tonight with my friends, and now I'm debating whether I should wear this dress for it. I think I'll be more comfortable ultimately in this dress, so I'll wear this dress. I can't believe I made this dress. Every time I look at pictures of me in it or videos of me in it or at the dress itself, I cannot believe it came from my two hands. And it feels really cool to have finally reached that point of sewing where I think things come out the way I envision them in my head, or even better. And that's something I've always struggled with as an artist. So I've been a creative of all types. I've done everything from painting to pottery to jewelry making, like you name it, I've done it for the most part, except for I haven't done stained glass. I haven't done oil paints. I've done almost every other medium, but never oil paints. Bad knitter. I've tried knitting. Not a knitter. Good crocheter, bad knitter. But yeah, no, out of like artistic mediums, sewing, I feel like I can get the closest to my vision with, and I think that's really cool. This dress turned out exactly like my vision, maybe even more beautiful than my vision, and this past year is just the most satisfied I've been in life as an artist, because I feel like I'm finally actually like at my potential. Like I feel like with sewing, I've actually built the skill enough, which heck, 400 hours I better have, right? Which this is my 3rd year sewing. End of my 3rd year, I started sewing in October of 2019. So we're a little bit over 3 years at this point. I actually can't believe some of the things I've made within 3 years of sewing. Like I didn't expect to be this good this soon, and like I hope that doesn't come off like braggy. I've worked really hard at this skill and keeping this skill like in check and sharp and all that jazz. So yeah, I feel really proud of this. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I'm gonna stop holding this hanger. Those of you who are new, thank you so much for subscribing. I've grown a ton in just the past like 3 months on my channel, so I know a lot of you are new, so I hope you enjoyed seeing all the things I made over the year. And for those of you who have been around, I really appreciate it. I do recognize you guys when you comment. I know I'm horrible at responding, but that's just my general social anxiety speaking. I really do enjoy your guys' comments. I'm just awkward. I guess this is my last of this year. You can tip me over on Ko-fi. Sorry, I'm awkward. I'm not gonna cry, but I'm just very thankful for you all. It's been a really good year. Despite like having highlighted like how Pride was rough for me this year, overall you all have been so supportive and wonderful, and I really appreciate having you. I don't get very many haters here in my comments, and I really appreciate that. A lot of my other friends on YouTube do. Some of them is just that they have a higher following than me. I always have told you guys I don't want to grow really fast. I want to just go along for a journey. My ideal is for my YouTube to cover the costs of my sewing projects, and maybe eventually to be able to do bigger and bigger sewing projects because of my costs being covered. Thank you for your support. I will see you in my next video next year. Next video will also be fairly chatty. I'm going to be talking about my sewing plans for the next year and where I plan to grow and push and stuff like that. So definitely subscribe if you haven't already. Stay tuned for that. I would love to have you stick around. As always, you can like this video or leave a comment down below. It really helps me out. And I will see you next time. Bye!